Before the earth took shape and before the stars ignited in the heavens, there was only light, pure, divine, and absolute. In this primordial realm, the Creator's will was law, and his angels sang in perfect harmony. Among them was Lucifer, the brightest of all, a being of unparalleled beauty and wisdom. Yet, from the depths of his brilliance emerged a dangerous thought. Why should only one rule when power could be shared? This single question, simple yet subversive, became the spark of rebellion. Lucifer, the morning star, dared to challenge the very order of creation. He believed that he, too, deserved dominion, that he was equal to the Creator. The rebellion began not as a war, but as an idea, a quiet gathering of like-minded angels who whispered in the shadows of heaven. But ideas, as history shows, have power, and this one shook the foundations of eternity. The war that followed was unlike anything imaginable. The heavens thundered, and light clashed with light as the Creator's loyal angels battled the insurgents. The outcome was inevitable. Lucifer and his followers, now labeled as the fallen, were cast down from their celestial home. Stripped of their radiant forms, they plummeted into the abyss, their fall echoed by the thunder of divine judgment. And so the morning star became Satan, the adversary. But his fall was not the end. It was the beginning of his plan. A plan to prove that humanity, God's cherished creation, was unworthy of divine favor. Lucifer had lost the heavens, but he found a new battlefield: Earth. In his eyes, every act of defiance, every sin, every flaw in humanity was evidence that God's design was flawed. But was it truly rebellion, or was it a quest for freedom in a universe governed by one will? Could Lucifer's perspective reveal a side of the story we've never considered? Let's explore this celestial enigma together. Welcome to Celestial Chronicles. In the heart of creation was Eden, a perfect paradise filled with life and peace. It was here that God placed Adam and Eve, the first humans, granting them dominion over the earth. They were given freedom to enjoy everything the garden offered, but with one rule: do not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. It was a simple command, yet it carried profound consequences. Watching from the shadows was Satan, now cast out of heaven, but still determined to challenge God's design. He saw an opportunity in the innocence of humanity. Taking the form of a serpent, he approached Eve and asked a question designed to plant doubt. Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? His words twisted the truth, making God's command seem restrictive rather than protective. Eve hesitated but listened. The serpent continued, promising that eating the fruit would open her eyes, making her like God, knowing good and evil. Tempted by the promise of wisdom and power, Eve took the fruit and ate it, sharing it with Adam. In that moment, everything changed. They realized their nakedness, felt shame, and hid from God. Paradise was lost. Satan's plan had succeeded, but why? Was his goal to corrupt humanity or to prove that God's creation was flawed? Did free will make humanity stronger, or was it always a trap? These questions echo through time, leaving us to wonder about the true nature of the first test. The Old Testament, corruption and chaos. After the fall in Eden, humanity spread across the earth, building societies and creating their own paths. But with freedom came choices, and with choices came corruption. Satan, cast from heaven, yet still determined to disrupt God's creation, found countless ways to weave his influence into the hearts of men. One of the earliest examples is the story of Noah. The world had become so filled with violence and wickedness that God decided to cleanse it with a great flood. But was this descent into chaos purely human failing, or was Satan behind it, whispering into the hearts of people, encouraging greed, anger, and sin? Noah's survival marked a reset, but it also revealed the fragility of human morality. Then came the Tower of Babel, a symbol of human ambition and defiance. People united to build a tower that would reach the heavens, believing they could become like gods. It was more than a physical structure. It was a challenge to divine authority. Was it Satan who inspired this bold arrogance, convincing humanity they could achieve greatness without God? Perhaps the most chilling story of Satan's involvement comes in the tale of Job. Satan appears before God, claiming that Job's faith is shallow, based only on the blessings he has received. God allows Satan to test Job, stripping away his wealth, family, and health. Yet Job's faith endures. Was this test a demonstration of God's power, or proof of Satan's ability to influence even the most faithful. These stories show a world constantly at war between good and evil, with Satan pulling strings in the background. But they also leave us wondering, was humanity always destined to struggle with these choices, or did Satan's interference change the course of history forever? The arrival of Jesus marked a turning point in the battle between good and evil. From the moment of his birth, Satan saw him as a threat to everything he had worked to disrupt. Herod's brutal order to kill all male infants in Bethlehem showed how far Satan's influence could reach, attempting to destroy Jesus before his mission even began. When Jesus began his ministry, Satan confronted him directly. In the wilderness, after Jesus fasted for 40 days, Satan came to tempt him. He offered Jesus food, power, and safety, saying, "If you are the Son of God, turn these stones into bread, and all this will be yours if you worship me." But Jesus resisted every offer, standing firm in his faith and refusing to stray from his purpose. Throughout Jesus' life, Satan worked in the shadows, manipulating events to try and stop him. Judas Iscariot, one of Jesus' disciples, betrayed him for 30 pieces of silver. Was this just human weakness, or was Satan whispering into Judas's heart, driving him to betray the one he followed? The crucifixion seemed like Satan's ultimate victory. Jesus was beaten, humiliated, and nailed to the cross, dying in agony. But what Satan couldn't foresee was that this act would lead to the greatest triumph of all, the resurrection. Through his sacrifice, Jesus defeated sin and death, offering humanity a path back to God. Why did Satan push for the crucifixion if it would lead to his own defeat? Was it arrogance, or did he truly believe he could outwit the divine plan? This moment remains one of the greatest mysteries of the cosmic struggle between good and evil. The story of the end times, as told in the book of Revelation, is where the conflict between good and evil reaches its climax. Satan, described as the great dragon and the deceiver of nations, gathers his forces for one last rebellion against God. This is not just a war of weapons, but a battle for the souls of humanity, with deception as Satan's greatest weapon. The rise of the Antichrist marks the beginning of this final conflict. This figure, empowered by Satan, emerges as a charismatic leader, uniting nations and demanding worship. Through signs and wonders, he convinces many to follow him, creating a false sense of peace and unity. The world becomes divided, with some choosing the path of deception and others holding on to their faith in God. Was this the ultimate test of humanity's free will, or a trap laid from the very beginning? As chaos spreads, the world plunges into darkness. War, famine, and natural disasters ravage the earth, described in Revelation as the unleashing of the four horsemen. Satan's influence is everywhere, and his goal is clear: to draw humanity further from God and secure his dominion over the earth. Yet, even in the darkest moments, the faithful stand firm, awaiting God's promise of redemption. The final battle takes place at Armageddon, where Satan's armies face the forces of heaven. The imagery is vivid: angels clashing with demonic forces, the earth trembling under the weight of their struggle. In the end, Satan is defeated and cast into the lake of fire, where his influence is ended forever. But the question remains: why did God allow Satan to rise so far and cause so much suffering before his ultimate defeat? Was it to test humanity's faith, to show the consequences of rebellion, or to complete a plan beyond human understanding? The end times may be a conclusion to the story, but they leave us with profound questions about purpose, choice, and the true nature of victory. Satan's role in the biblical story is both troubling and thought-provoking. From his rebellion in heaven to his influence on humanity, he is often seen as the villain, the one who opposes God and seeks to lead people astray. But his story raises deeper questions about the nature of free will, temptation, and the balance between good and evil. Throughout history, Satan is not just a destroyer, he's a tester. In the story of Job, he challenges God directly, questioning the loyalty of one of his most faithful servants. With Jesus, he tempts him in the wilderness, offering power and safety to derail his mission. In the end times, Satan's deceptions force humanity to choose between the false promises of the world and their faith in God. Is Satan simply a symbol of temptation, or is he an active participant in the grand design, testing humanity's resolve and faith? Some might ask, why would an all-powerful God allow Satan to exist and operate? Could it be that his presence serves as a necessary counterpart to show the value of righteousness, the power of choice, and the strength of faith? Without darkness, can we truly understand light? Without the struggle, can we appreciate salvation? Satan's perspective is complex. To him, his rebellion might not have been evil but a quest for freedom, a belief that God's rule was too rigid. Yet, his actions have brought untold suffering and chaos. Does this make him purely evil, or is his role part of a larger mystery that we as humans cannot fully understand? These questions are not easy to answer, and perhaps that's the point. The adversary's story challenges us to look deeper, to question what we know about good and evil, and to reflect on our own choices. What do you think Satan's purpose truly is? Share your thoughts, and let's continue exploring these profound mysteries together.